Um, okay. So Gerald Aartsen, no? Um, are you a Christian? Do you have any knowledge of the Bible, for instance, of the
I haven't
history
made,
of the Jews and the Christians and the church, etc.?
I haven't made a study of the Bible. I was born in a Roman Catholic family,
Yes,
and I sort of renounced Catholicism when I was 14 years old.
14 years old.
But when I was 20, I had an extraordinary experience,
Really?
and I was really more of a social activist than anything else, looking for solutions for the world's problems. But I woke up bathed in bliss and with the absolute certainty that the Christ is back in the world, and I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know where it came from. But only a month or 2 months later, I read the first interview in Holland with Benjamin Prem, and he provided the information that explained to me what the experience had been about.
Yes.
And I still don't see myself as a Christian or anything. I'm more of a...
But in a certain way, what you say today about a new consciousness, and it has some echo, some impact with what Christ was saying at his time.
Oh yes, definitely.
He was announcing a change of consciousness,
Yes.
which maybe didn't take place actually at this time.
Well, maybe it's a gradual development. It takes a long time for consciousness to evolve to the point where we are now. And in fact, you can see the same declarations, the same statements in all the major religions.
Sure.
I've just recently wrote an article that was in Charenton National magazine, Partage, in which I showed that all the 5 major religions in the world agree on the fact that the cyclic revelation by a new teacher or a returning teacher about the source and the evolution of consciousness that needs to be expressed in right human relations, in living according to the golden rule. And all 5 major religions, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, and Islam, you can find statements to that effect.
Okay. I had a discussion with Luc Gory before, and I would like to know, you mentioned by yourself, you did mention the Aquarius age or Pisces age in some place.
Yes.
What is the origin of this such a system? Is it a system which has been created by a sort of nature or primary God, or is it something which has been created by some brother of the space or something? Are they submitted to this order, or are they responsible for this order? What do you think about that?
Well,
This
you're
cosmic
now asking questions on a cosmic level.
Is it this cosmic structure that we depend on? Who has brought it into life? I mean, into
the
existence.
Creator, the supreme being.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So the brother of the space, they are submitted to this system. They are not they are not controlling it, or do they?
No, the Space Brothers are from the other planets in our system and in all the other galaxies, and throughout the Milky Way as well. You find solar systems that consist of a central sun and planets revolving around it, and they're all on their own path of expressing the evolution of consciousness, of their particular manifestation of consciousness that we cannot know anything about because it originates from a cosmic source that is way beyond our comprehension.
I see.
And our solar system is going through space in alignment to the different signs in the zodiac.
Yes.
And so we are part of a much larger cosmic reality, a cosmic manifestation.
Yes.
And we have humanity has come up with these names of the different different constellations.
Yeah, sure.
Like
Zodiac.
Aquarius and Pisces and what have you. I doubt if those constellations are known to themselves under those names, but
Yes.
those are names that humanity has given them.
And they exist only from our geocentric
our
point of view,
perspective, yes.
because they are.
The constellations are very real, I think, and they have a cosmic role to play. But again, that falls well beyond our level of comprehension.
All right. So there is a sort of contradiction in the fact that this constellation, this process of precession, is a very slow one, and the fact that Luke said we have very little time ahead, or so. In fact, there is a sort of contradiction between a very slow rhythm, a slow cycle, and the feeling that things are urgent.
Well, there's not really a contradiction. What is slow is the precession of the solar system in alignment to the various signs in the zodiac. And what is slow is the evolution of consciousness. But as we all know, in nature, things take their course, and at some point there's a culmination in a development. And the flower springs out. The butterfly comes out of the shell of the caterpillar. So there's sudden jumps in how things progress. And we have now come to the end of the age of Pisces, in which humanity has developed the characteristics, the qualities of individuality and idealism. But we have become extreme in their manifestation, and thereby we are ignoring and not giving proper expression to the incoming energies of Aquarius, which have only since 2009, according to Benjamin Kern, gained ascendancy. So it is the matter of urgency is in recognizing that we are one, and not in terms of moving into the new age, because we've moved into the new age physically in terms of the alignment with Aquarius. We have moved into the age of Aquarius in terms of the strength of the energies, the balance of the energies between Pisces and Aquarius. And now we have to begin to respond in a responsible manner before we blow ourselves up, because that's the urgency. People are dying of hunger. People are kept in slavery increasingly around the world. Threats of destruction surround us because of the selfishness that at the moment seems to be ruling the world. But that is as I said in my presentation, because of the systems that are failing us, the political systems, the economic and social systems.
Yes, but there are certain, for instance, this new age has been prophetized in the Bible. For instance, I don't know if you know about Jeremy. He was saying to the Jews, the old alliance is dead, and there will be a new alliance. It seems, I don't know if this question will inspire you. It seems that the Jews will remain as a major phenomenon according to the plan to the original plan. You think the brothers of the space give any importance to the fact that there is still a Jewish people in the world, and which might have a special role to play in terms of consciousness?
I think the visitors from space, the brothers and sisters from space, recognize the importance of all groups of humanity, the Jews included.
Not especially.
And the aim, I mentioned that as well, the aim is not for uniformity, but for unity. Unity in diversity. So we have to recognize, acknowledge, and celebrate the differences, the different approaches to life, the different views of life, and all the different aspects that different people bring to the experience and the manifestation of life and consciousness. So it's not one is more important than the other. or one is less important, but we all make humanity together.
The spirit of Aquarius, I don't know if you are familiar with astrology, with the zodiacal types, how they define the Aquarius type, in the books, etc.
I know what Benjamin Graham says about it, and the Ageless Wisdom teaching.
Yeah. In a certain way, it is everybody has to be creative in this
Exactly.
Aquarius age, you see. While in the Pisces age, it was more sort of general knowledge, but it's a matter of self-consciousness, which is an important element of Aquarius. So it is a change, a transformation they do. For instance, Jeremy says we are not going just to learn from outside, from books. We are going to learn from our own consciousness. So, can you develop the notion of consciousness, in fact, or self-consciousness,
Yes.
in terms of the fact that it doesn't come only from outside, but it comes from inside?
Exactly. The keynotes of Aquarius, according to the wisdom teachings, are oneness and synthesis. And once we have set to rights the wrongs in the world, the ills of the world, once we have tackled hunger and poverty and the ecological issues, the destruction of the planet, once all that has been settled, humanity will be freed to begin to live according to the laws of life and work for self-realization.
Yes.
Apply the art of self-realization. And that is on an individual level, giving manifestation to that consciousness, that awareness that humanity is one, the awareness that we are actually gods in becoming, gods in
Yes.
potentially gods, and we have, each of one of us individually will have to bring that into manifestation. That's not going to happen in one lifetime.
No.
But it takes a long course of.
So, as we said before, we are still in front of ahead of a long process. It's not
Yes.
necessarily something which will be achieved in the next 50 years.
To give expression to the perfection, to the spark of God that we are
Yeah.
on the soul level, will take a long time.
Yes.
But to give expression to the oneness of humanity and to live
is
according to
urgent.
that knowledge is we are in immediate need of.
It's
of
our
doing that
generation.
now.
I mean, the next
Because
generation.
This generation, because otherwise the planet will be destroyed.
Yeah, so you stick to this idea that
Absolutely, yes.
there are objective factors which prevent from how do you say it, to consider it could come later on. It's going to be now, or we can't postpone it indefinitely.
The change of heart in humanity, the realization that we are one human family who share one planet, has to come now.
All right. But about the as I understand well, the change has started in the 15th century or something like that.
Yes.
1400 and something, 25 or something.
The hierarchy of Masters of Wisdom first began planning their return to the world in around the time, 16th century, roundabout.
Yeah. The time, by the way, well, you are a Christian, you are Catholic, but it is also the time of the Reformation with
Yes,
Luther
yes,
and Calvin.
yes,
I mean,
yes.
in a certain way, it comes. Well, Protestantism. I am not Protestant, but Protestantism, Reformism, has something to do with a sort of referring to the inner consciousness.
Yes, I think all these different streams and directions and approaches to religion or science or art, they're all in response to the energies that the masters release into the world, that come into the world
Yes.
from cosmic sources. So yes, we live in an energetic universe.
But during the last 500 years, there was a real change in the capacity of mankind to create, to invent,
Oh, definitely,
to
yes.
produce.
Yes.
So this is a real sign of a transformation.
Oh yes, and
And we are still.
if you study the teachings, you will find that In recent centuries, a new cosmic energy came in, the seventh ray energy, which or it's coming into sorry, it was the fifth ray energy, which led to the Enlightenment. You know, the current
18th century.
Yes, the current focus and emphasis on empiricism and science as we know it now, rather reductionist in its approach. And a new ray energy is coming in according to the teachings, the seventh ray energy, which will be a major part in shaping the Aquarian age.
But the paradox is precisely that this modern age has apparently created a lot of threats, of problems, because when you say a problem with ecology, a problem with the atomic bomb, all this is a result of this new process.
Yes, but it's a matter of cycles. So, you know, everything in nature, life, the expression of consciousness, it all happens in cycles.
Sure.
And so the energy comes in, and humanity starts to respond to it, and it results in a great blossoming of a certain expression of humanity, in this case scientific. And then it culminates, and humanity, some elements in humanity start to take advantage or misuse the aspects.
Yes.
And then we see a decline. We see that with civilizations. We see it in an individual life where you are born and you get a fresh body, and you grow old or you mature and you come into full expression, and then you decline and you die. So it's a natural course of events for every new energy, every new manifestation.
Yes, I see. But what was your intention with the books where you have produced the 3 books? Why was it necessary to write those books? Was it something was missing?
Absolutely, yes. If you look at the traditional UFO literature, it's very speculative, and it ignores, in my view, the very important facts that all the negative information started to come out after the original contactees of the 1950s
These information
were drawing so much attention from the public at the time when the government wanted the public support for investment in armaments, in nuclear weapons, etc. And that's when the negative news and negative reports began to come up.
But we didn't understand exactly why certain governments wanted to create confusion about all these problems.
As I just said, they were engaged in an ideological warfare.
Yes,
the Americans with the Russians, and they both needed the public support for their massive investment, public spending in weapons and nuclear weapons especially.
But why were they afraid to acknowledge the existence of this external?
If the message
was a problem.
The importance of the oneness of humanity, recognizing that humanity is one, that the importance of international cooperation to solve our problems, if that had gained even more public support, then the governments would have lost their support for public spending on weapons.
Yes, but apparently at the beginning there was no message. There was a presence.
There was, and that's what I show in my
the
book.
message is something which is given by a group like Maitreya. I mean, the message is not connected necessarily with the fact that there are flying saucers or etc.
Well, that's why I wrote my books, because in my books I show exactly that the information was there.
Yes.
It was there from the beginning. And that had to be, that's why the confusion and fear had to be created, to confuse that message.
The message was known from the beginning.
It was there
It was
from the beginning.
To whom and how was it? How was it conveyed and how?
In the books that I discussed, if you go
there
back,
were some books which created a sort of reaction.
No, the early contactees all organized talks. They wrote books, and I showed them in my presentation.
And in those books they were conveying a certain message.
And they all say the same things. Humanity is one. We need we need humanity to cooperate on an international level. They gave us examples of how they organized life on their planets, so that we could solve our problems here.
I see.
So it was there from the beginning.
I see.
And that is what is missing in most of the books.
Exactly.
That
And we understand the
came out.
reaction.
Yes.
We know that it was not just because there were planes or UFOs, etc., but there was also messages, and these messages
Information
created
conveyed.
reaction.
Yes.
And so who were the first to bring those messages of peace and unity, etc.? Who are responsible for the reaction?
Well, the visitors through George Adamski, through Daniel Fry, Truman Bethune. Who else did I show? There were people in other countries, Alberto Perego, Dino Kraspedon. So there were people all over the world. And later on, the same message was repeated and expanded through contactees in Chile and Italy. So it was all over the world.
So you think that now there won't be no more reaction of that sort?
What reaction?
I mean, now mankind is mature to accept this message and will stop to destroy it or to confuse it.
Well, that is our effort. That is why we organize the events, these events. That's why I write books. That's why, that's the reason for Benjamin Grant's mission of informing humanity about the reality, the existence, and the emergence of the teachers of humanity, the elder brothers, Maitreya, the world teacher, and the masters of wisdom. And that shows the reality of the evolution of consciousness that we are all involved in, and the need for humanity to take the next step.
But we believe, it seems that we really live in a world we call the French mondialization. I mean, a world where there is sort of unity of consciousness, or people complain about that precisely.
Yes.
Sometimes they say, well, it's against the state, it's against the nations, that the economy is so supranational, so international.
Yes, globalization has been misused for economic and financial purposes. So the people who had the most power financially and economically have misused it to become monopolists in many ways.
That's the problem.
So that has created the problem. We have already evolved into a global village in terms of communication, transportation, knowledge. So solving the problems can be very easy if we shift our attention from competition and greed to cooperation and sharing.
Yes. All right. So we have a new problem now, because even the question of unity is creating tensions.
No.
And I mean,
this was not the globalization that we see now is not an expression of unity. That's a misuse.
No, but it's a form of unity, of pseudo unity.
It shows that the world is one, but the globalization has been appropriated by the economic forces in the world, the economic powers in the world, which are now enslaving an increasing part of humanity. And that is not unity, that's creating inequality.
I understand. So my final question is, I suppose that you follow this movement from the beginning. The question is, will there be what do you think about the declaration or something like that?
The Day of Declaration.
Yeah. How does it enter into your thought?
Well, as I showed and as I show in my books, the visitors from space are here in support of this momentous time in the evolution of humanity, the planet, that for the first time the teacher, the world teacher, will return himself known to the whole world, not to a particular part of the world like this, at the time Jesus in Palestine, but to the whole world at once. And this will happen. I mean, Maitreya, the world teacher, is back, but he's not yet declared himself. And the space brothers and sisters are here in support of that event. And of course, that will trigger humanity's response and acknowledgement that we are one, because that experience that Maitreya will give us will will help us realize that we are one.
See, what about the idea of? I heard this instructor. There is
The world teacher.
a word
Instructeur
teacher.
du monde.
Who is this person?
That's Maitreya, the world teacher.
I
He's
see.
the head of the spiritual hierarchy. He's the master of all the masters. And in fact, he's the eldest brother of humanity. He's the one who has traveled the path of evolution the farthest. So
He belongs to our mankind, or to our humanity, or he belongs to the.
mankind.
It is.
on
He's
this
from
planet.
one from us, one
Yes,
of us.
One of us. He's
But
our
he has
eldest brother.
special capacity of connecting the brothers of
Well,
space.
he embodies the energy of love on this planet, and his consciousness spans the planet, and according to Benjamin Graham, also beyond the planet. So he is in constant communication with similar advanced beings on other planets. in the solar
Is he
system.
comparable to a person like Jesus or something, or Moses,
Jesus was
or a sort of Messiah? I don't know.
well, yes. Maitreya, the world teacher, previously manifested through Jesus. And before Jesus, there was the Buddha who manifested through Gautama, the Prince Gautama.
Yes.
Maitreya has, before that, manifested through Krishna in India. So he is, at this age, he's the world teacher. He was the world teacher for the age of Pisces through Jesus. And he will be the world teacher for the age of Aquarius through himself, through a self-created body in which he's now in the world.
Another question. I don't know how you will like it, but there are other groups which exist in the world which do not exactly have the same profile. I would like to know what you think about it, just very objectively. Like, for instance, the moon group, the unificationists, the people of Korea. What do you think about them?
Well, there's so many groups with their own interpretation and understanding of religion, of God, of life,
Yes,
etc. I don't think it's very productive to give my personal comments.
All right,
because
okay.
My comments, my ideas may be useful or useless as anybody
Yeah, all
else's.
right, yeah. Thank you very much, Gérard.
You're welcome.